I just want a reminder that like we have that clip not in sound of our friend of the show sparring with Josh Hawley.
Oh yeah, let's do this. Right now, there is a hearing.
It's the Senate Judiciary Committee hearing about abortion access in the law.
Okay, and a former guest of ours, Khiara, what's Khiara's?
Bridges.
Khiara Bridges.
Khiara Bridges. She was a professor from Stanford, or is it
the UC Berkeley?
UC Berkeley.
Yeah.
Again, this is happening right now. So.
And this is happening right now. And she apparently sparred with Josh Hawley, one of the Jan 6 insurrectionists from the inside, over the question of abortion. Remember, he is really trying to solidify the fundamentalist base of the Republican Party, which is also what all the other Republicans are doing, because that's who
so he's trying to one up others in his transphobia here. That's how he weaves that into the abortion debate.
Professor Bridges, you said several times, you've used a phrase, I want to make sure I understand what you mean by it. You've referred to people with a capacity for pregnancy. Would that be women?
Many women, cis women, have the capacity for pregnancy. Many cis women do not have the capacity for pregnancy. There are also trans men who are capable of pregnancy, as well as non-binary people who are capable of pregnancy.
So this isn't really a women's rights issue.
We can recognize that this impacts women while also recognizing that it impacts other groups. Those things are not mutually exclusive, Senator Hawley.
Oh, so your view is that the core of this right then is about what?
So I want to recognize that your line of questioning is transphobic, and it opens up trans people to violence by not recognizing that.
Wow, you're saying that I'm opening up people to violence by asking whether or not women are the folks who can have pregnancies?
So I want to note that 1 out of 5 transgender persons have attempted suicide. So I think it's important.
Because of my line of questioning? So we can't talk about it?
Because denying that trans people exist and pretending not to know that they exist.
I'm denying that trans people exist by asking you if you're talking about women having pregnancies?
Do you believe that men can get pregnant?
No, I don't think women can get pregnant.
So you're denying that trans people exist?
And that leads to violence? Is this how you run your classroom? Are students allowed to question you?
Absolutely.
Or are they also treated like this? Where
No,
they're told that they're opening up people to violence?
We have a good time in my class. You should join.
Oh, I bet.
You might learn a lot.
Wow, I would learn a lot. I've learned a lot just in this exchange.
Absolutely.
Extraordinary.
Yep.
Ms. Matsky.
Wow. He just got spanked all over there. Now, to be clear, I mean, what she did was incredibly brave, because I will guarantee you that clip will be on Tucker Carlson tonight, and Tucker Carlson will make her pay for that. That is what his job is. His job is to make sure that she is scared shitless of ever doing that again. And so folks should
get her back.
Get on Twitter, get her back. Because I guarantee you, they are going to demonize the shit out of her.
Yep.
And a black woman talking about trans rights is
daring to talk back to Josh Hawley.
Exactly.
And not just take that line of questioning, right? I mean, she reframed it in such an amazing, perfect way. First of all, just I don't know. It takes a lot of bravery, as you say, because of what she's going to face as a black woman and in this public forum. But just the fact that she also said not all women can get pregnant too. When you expand the understanding of healthcare to include trans people and talk about how and sometimes I'll fall into it, say women as a shorthand in terms of who will get protected by abortion, but I'm trying to get more in the habit of it as well. To say people who can get pregnant, you are being inclusive about women who don't have the capacity to get pregnant, yes, or cis women, and 2, trans men as well, non-binary people. And the fact that she's being aggressive and not hiding from that messaging really, really does wonders. And it's important.
Because she's right. Like the idea that, I mean, just for an example, for somebody who's still confused about this, let's walk through it really slowly. Let's say somebody is assigned female at birth, but then becomes non-binary and doesn't associate with that. Regardless of whether they do any sort of other kind of intervention, that is enough to not call that person a woman, even if they get pregnant. You're an asshole if you insist on calling that person a woman. That's just simple. This is just, I mean, these categories, it's fun. They're their base is fundamentalists, which is why they can state this stuff so clearly. And yeah,
Josh Hawley was so excited
Yeah.
for this line of questioning because they sat in his office with his cadre of fundamentalist, lib owners, and thought about like, oh, we're really gonna nail her on this. We're gonna nail her on this. This is gonna be great. And he just got put to bed. Folks want her Twitter handle. She's not on Twitter, so I don't know.
That's probably why she's
Just share the
also
video.
has such clear thought processes.
Well, yeah, share the video. Also, obviously, not to just plug us. Like our interviews with her have been fantastic. There's a lot of great YouTube videos of her talking about a lot of different things. So definitely worth checking out.
Yep.
She's awesome.
Yep, really great. And that was. Let's play that again.
Yes.
Honestly, she was so adept at this, and both like in terms of just the on paper in terms of the answers, but the basically communicating to him like, come at me again, and he didn't. He knew better.
I want to make sure I understand what you mean by it. You've referred to people with a capacity for pregnancy. Would that be women?
Oh, look how smug he is on this.
Many women, cis women, have the capacity for pregnancy. Many cis women do not have the capacity for pregnancy. There are also trans men who are capable of pregnancy, as well as non-binary people who are capable of pregnancy.
So this isn't really a women's rights issue.
We can recognize that this impacts women while also recognizing that it impacts other groups. Those things are not mutually exclusive, Senator Hawley.
Oh, so your view is that the core of this right then is about what?
So I want to recognize that your line of questioning is transphobic, and it opens up trans people to violence by not recognizing that.
Wow, you're saying that I'm opening up people to violence by asking whether or not women are the folks who can have pregnancies?
So I want to note that 1 out of 5 transgender persons have attempted suicide. So I think it's important
Because of my line of questioning? So we can't talk about it?
Because denying that trans people exist and pretending not to know that they exist
I'm
is
denying that trans
dangerous.
people exist by asking you if you're talking about women having pregnancies?
Do you believe that men can get pregnant?
No, I don't think women can get
So you're
pregnant.
denying that trans people exist?
And that leads to violence? Is this how you run your classroom? Are students allowed to question you? Or are they
Absolutely.
also treated like this? Where
No,
they're
they're
told
allowed
that
to
they're
question.
opening up people to
Oh,
violence
we have a good
by
time in my
questioning.
class. You should join.
Oh, I bet.
You might learn a lot.
Wow, I would learn a lot. I've learned a lot
I
just in this
know,
exchange.
absolutely.
Extraordinary.
Yep.
Ms. Matsky,
Yep. It didn't quite go. He didn't quite have the dominance that he would have wanted for the trip that he's going to make to Tucker Carlson tonight to talk about this.
Although it doesn't necessarily matter too much because
They'll clip it in the.
They'll say he owned her, and
Absolutely, of
like
course.
she's what are her credentials? Let's see her LSAT scores.
One thing I will say is that this is not to disparage KBJ at all, because I don't think I don't think there was a reason like this to answer that question from like Marsha Blackburn or whoever about what is a woman or whatever. But I think like take this as a roadmap if you're testifying in this way, or if you're on a program or something. This is how you answer that question. This is how you answer that question without pivoting or deflecting or saying I'm not going to dive into this. You can dive into this and answer this correctly.
Right. And the amazing thing is, and this, folks, you can apply this in every situation where you are watching any public communications. The last refuge for someone who thinks like a conservative, understand this. This is what the conservative brain, this is essentially what conservatism is at the end of the day. It is aggrievement. And when he pivots into like, oh, is this what you do to kids in your class? You don't let them ask questions? And you say that the questions could cause harm? That aggrievement, you can see it everywhere. And it is the biggest tell for either a conservative or just someone who's playing the conservative grift. You can see it with YouTubers complaining about their demonetization. Whether it's like, Dave Rubin used to, I'm getting this demonetized, I'm getting that demonetized, or I've been kicked off of Twitter, or anybody else. Anybody else. I don't even care what they pretend. I would love to see an academic study of the rate in which conservatives cry about demonetization as opposed to anybody in the center or center left. I mean, these things happen. But it is always like a huge aggrievement. I can't even express an opinion anymore without being criticized for it. It's a aggrievement. We need to be in the marketplace of ideas. My ideas need to be ensconced in a bubble, in a no criticize zone. And if I get criticized, oh my gosh. Like, they can't even bring up the snowflake criticism anymore because their aggrievement is so intense that they've got to spread these things out a little bit.
It's also funny, Hawley comes around to almost arguing for a conservative safe space with regards to his questions. Like, is this how I would be treated if I was in your class? Like, if you're a little smug little punk, like I imagine you were at Stanford and Yale, where you went to, yeah, I imagine like some teachers can be a little bit snippy.
You could either do that, or you could sue the Humanist Report for saying that you hate trans people.